Now, enough about me. This is truly, I will say that I do try things out on my life. If things work, I share. And there are certain principles that I've worked with that are working, have worked, and that's what I try to share. And today, I want to share. It's interesting. Every October we talk about thriving, we talk about harvest. Because this is the time of harvest. This is the time of seeing what good works you have done in mind and in the world and taking them and putting them in such a place that you know that you're provided for. And a lot of this has to be, because we're metaphysical, this is in our own mind. And every year I've tried to say something new. This year I am sharing what I do all the time. All the time. I'm going to teach some principles of thriving. It'll show up in a whole new way. And today we're going to talk about the holiness of hope. It all starts with hope. The holiness of hope. Not hope for the best. Let's just hope for the best. How many of you have ever hoped for the best? How'd that work? It's such a cliche and it's so powerless. It's really powerless. It's a flimsy fantasy. I hope you get better. How many of you ever had somebody say, I hope you get better? Well, that really boosts me. But when hope is used to direct faith, then it's powerful. We've heard of people talk about their North Star. I don't go for the North Star. I go for the hope in my heart. I listen to the hope in my heart. Now let me start where I have to go back a little bit. And start where I started noticing hope or not hope. There was a time, and I know that we were in our Sandpoint property, there was a time I would look out and I would see hopeless faces. There was no light in the eye. I would go to our conventions and I would see hopeless ministers, no light in the eye. Now there was a smile. There was a smile, but there was no light. And they were saying all is good, and there was no light. There was no hope that anything would change. There was no hope that they could overcome. There was no hope that God would really intervene. And that is a sick thing to see in a minister. Not bad, sick. Not wrong, sick. There's a difference. It's not wrong to be sick, but something's off when you're sick. Something's out of alignment when you're sick. And I would see that, and that's when I oh, my job is to reestablish hope. To facilitate the reestablishment of hope in a person. Hope is so incredibly powerful, and the ancients knew it. They knew it. See, hope gives you a brighter future. When things seem hopeless, it's because for too long it hasn't been acknowledged, and it is like that flame in the heart that I was speaking about in my opening. It's not really a prayer, it's just an opening. There's always a spark in us, but sometimes there's no oxygen and it's barely an ember. That's what hope can be, because it's not being given attention. So when I said that the ancients knew this, there is an old story in mythology, Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. I was such a Greek myth geek. That's what I was, a Greek myth geek. I liked all mythology. I love those ancient stories because they speak of what's going on in almost everyone's psyche. They speak of the psyche. So here's one of the stories. Prometheus looked at human beings and saw that they were really struggling, and he knew they wouldn't struggle as much if they had control of fire. But only the gods on Olympus had the control of fire. And that meant being able to call up fire when they needed it. And actually, we know that civilization started to change when people figured out how to cultivate fire and how to make it theirs when they needed it. So the story goes that Prometheus took the fire from Olympus and gave it to human beings. Boy, that made Zeus mad. They're getting uppity now. They don't need to pray to us as much because they got fire. So Zeus came up with a plan. He was going to take all of the tragedies and the catastrophes and the worries and the problems that he could think of, and he put it into a box. And then he thought, well, they might not open the box. So I'll create this beautiful woman that they can't say no to. And she's going to bring this box. Pandora was her name. You heard of Pandora's box? Well, even Zeus, as somewhat petty and horny as he was, that's mythology. He felt sorry for humans, and so he put something at the bottom of the box so that they would not surrender to the place of such hopelessness that they died. At the bottom of all the tragedy and all the bad stuff that could happen, he put hope. So when the box was open and all of these things flew out, all the stuff that could go wrong flew out into consciousness and would land here and land here and land here, hope, tiny little hope, found her place within the human heart. And if you think about it, hope has done wonders. I just got back from Ireland, and I got to listen to almost 10 days of the story of the famine. Do you know one of the biggest exports from Ireland was not anything they make? It was their people. More people left Ireland than are now in Ireland. They've never regained the population that left. But you know why they left? Because people had a hope it would be better across the Atlantic. Why do people go here or go here? They go because there's a hope that it might be better. Sometimes we even just go from husband to husband out of a hope. I didn't bring it up, but now that it's out there. Out of a hope, it could be better. Some people change jobs out of a hope. It could be better. Hope drives us forward. Hope lets us see a possibility that we can never see unless we're listening to it. Because the opposite of hope is fear. But hope is always with us. Emily Dickinson wrote this. Hope is a thing with feathers and perches in the soul and sings the tune without words and never stops at all. The only thing that stops us hearing it is that we're listening to another equally powerful force within us, and that's our fear. So, I don't want to do that yet, right? So, hope speaks of possibility. I've said that. Hope speaks of possible happiness and rightness in the world. Fear outpictures the worst that can happen. It reminds us of it often and awfulizes conditions. How many of you had fear just last week about something? Yeah, I love you. And when, I was going to say something about services. So I asked the same question to first service. Only a few people raise their hand. It's because they get up early. They get up, they come to church, and they're all holy. But anyway, so... Or they're so sleepy they can't raise their hand. I'm not sure which one it is. But thank you for being so honest, because fear happens, doesn't it? And when we don't listen to our heart, the fear runs amok. Now here's the truth. Here's the truth. Much of what you have feared never happened, did it? But it sure ruined the good day, didn't it? The fear shows up, we worry, we get anxious, and it ruins the day. You can't even think straight because you're so busy being anxious, so busy being fearful, so busy planning. How many of you have planned and you plot and you try to manipulate and move things around? And all of that time, instead of enjoying life, it's busy trying to make something not happen. However, by listening to fear, we also drown out hope. And we can't get the divine direction. Now, I'm going to talk about faith next week because I cultivate faith. I love faith. Faith is a great thing. A lot more next week, but I want to talk about faith right now because people will say I don't have faith. Oh, what a bunch of baloney. You all have faith. We all have faith. Now, we may not have faith in God. We may not have faith in ourselves. We may not have faith that it'll turn out right. We may not have faith in humankind. We may not have faith in our government. We may not have faith that the world will actually turn out okay. Guess what? The world's going to be fine. The world, the planet will be fine. We may die off, and then it's going to just flourish. It's true. It's been through a lot and it comes back fine. We may not be around to see it, but I have faith that the earth will be okay in the end. So there. But oftentimes we have a lot of faith in what we fear. That's why we do our plotting and our planning and our manipulating and our maneuvering and our anxiety and fear, or just numbing out. Netflix is our best friend. Now, how does this all apply to thriving, to flourishing, to doing well and loving your life? When it comes to finances, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to how will I retire, when it comes to how am I going to pay my bills, every time you think about something that is a little bit problematic, you will either jump to hope or you'll jump to fear. That's just what any stimulus, boom, boom. Stimulus, boom, boom. But most of the time, we're so not in touch with hope that we always just jump to fear. We awfulize it. We give it our faith. It's like we fan that fire. And even if it doesn't turn out bad, we've wasted years, months of living on the edge, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. If we have faith in our fear, we will play small and we will play safe. Whereas if we have faith in our hope, we will open up vistas of possibility. But it's really hard to know hope when we're filled with fear. So I want to share with you what I do. And I've proven this over and over again to myself. Whether it was a physical ailment, losing my pension. I thought I had a pension. No. Like bada boom, bada boom, bada boom, bada boom. And there's something that I do that allows me to not follow fear. And that is, and it's so simple, it is so simple. If I could bottle it, Oh, it's not only so simple, it is so powerful. If I could bottle it, I would have more money than Bezos. Right up there, just under Elon Musk. Because this is so powerful, and it's just look up. You cannot be worried, you cannot be anxious, you cannot be fearful when you look up. You can't, I dare you. I double dog dare you. No, really. It's like, I have proven this with hundreds of people. Hundreds. And it's not this, it's just 45 degrees. So let's try it out. I want you to think of something that's really bothering you. If it's money, then that's great because that's kind of our theme for the month. So if it's a money issue, like, oh my goodness, will I run out of money before I die? Jeez. I love it. Kathy Thorson had the best bumper sticker on her car. She was driving around this cute BMW, and she said, I am spending my children's inheritance. Anyway, I loved that. I don't have children, but I wish I did just so I could spend their inheritance. But think about it. What is the biggest money issue you've got? Now feel it. Go there. What is it? What scares you? What makes you anxious? Truth heals. If you say, I don't have anything, and you feel a little bit of stuff in your stomach, you do have something. Now hold it, and now look up 45 degrees. Just 45 degrees. This is actually ancient wisdom, by the way, and it's in the Bible a lot. Jesus, before he did most of his major miracles, he looked up. The Bible says it, he looked up. If you see the paintings of saints, what are they doing? Looking up. Mary, looking up. We've been told this. It's in the ethers, but we don't do it. You know what happens when we get worried? We look down. You do. It's natural. Oh. And then, isn't it true? You look down. But boy, look up 45 degrees. Keep that same issue in mind. Look up 45 degrees. Stay there. Don't do anything. Just watch your mind. Watch your breathing. Watch the emotions. And what happens? So who wants to say what happened? Terrell, what happened?
My body immediately relaxed. I could breathe more deeply, and the anxiousness was...
So she said my body immediately relaxed. I was less anxious. In fact, the anxiety just disappeared, didn't it? I had someone on the Tuesday class, by the way, you can still get in. You'd get the recordings and then be here, because I'm only doing this for like 20 or 25 minutes. We're doing a whole hour on this stuff. One woman, like, there was no problem. She went from really big problem to no problem. Now, the consciousness of no problem, what's that going to create? No problem. See, a lot of times we have this problem. We take our problem to God. Here, God, look at this problem. Now, I know that because people come to me and want me to pray for them, and they're like outlining the problem, and then the history behind the problem, and it's a three-dimensional monster that they want me to pray to get rid of, like I'm an exorcist. Think about it. How many of you do that with God? God, I got this problem. No, go to a place of no problem, then give thanks, and then move into your heart of hope, or the hope within your heart. It's both the same thing. And then you know where to go. See the difference? When you come from no problem, you can know what your hope says. So clean. So clean. There was a time in my life when I thought I had to do it all myself, because our bank was foreclosing on the Center for Spiritual Living. because we had a 10-year loan and they didn't want to renew it. And we either gave them $4 million or they would foreclose. We had $1.5 million in the bank. And I would pray. I was a good prayer. I am manifest, babies. I manifest. Somebody gave us $1 million. Someone else said they would give us $1 million to put on the loan if we stayed there, because they lived in the neighborhood. Someone else, $500,000. But it never got to $4 million. We never got to $4 million. We'd get so close, but not there. And the bank wanted $4 million. So I just kept looking up. And pretty soon it's like, I don't even care what happens. It's all going to be so good. Most normal ministers would be freaked out. But I had this habit. I just had this habit of looking up. And there's no problem. I don't know what God's going to do, but it's not a problem. So I asked our executive director at the time to contact Children's Hospital. They'd been looking for property close to them. They offered us twice what we were appraised at. And they gave it to us. Twice. Property was appraised at $8 million, we got 16. God's idea was better than mine. I was working at it. Someone asked me on email, what do you mean let God do the work? What's mine to do? Your job is to make welcome. God's job is to make it happen. Get it? Whatever you think in your mind, God's idea is bigger than that. Bigger than that. But you can't listen to the hope that'll lead you there if you're so busy dealing with your anxiety. Got it? Yes. My work here is almost done. You're closing. Hope is frail and wispy, her iridescent bones shining through her translucent skin. What good is hope, you might ask? Her name nothing more than a 4-letter word. But the gods knew the true power of hope when she was created about a half second after humanity. You see, she's small enough to fit inside the human heart and strong enough to never give up or give out. Most importantly, hope has magic eyes that can see the future and portend amazing possibilities. And when hope reunites with her big sister faith, watch the miracles happen. For when the miracle sisters are united, faith feeds hope. And what was once a wispy dream is fleshed out into tangible reality. Faith, you see, is the substance of all things hoped for. And so it is.